What's up, Clarence? Hold on out there. We'll be there in a sec. May as well just get started because I don't see the audio working here. Let's get into it. All right, Ken, how are you? Welcome back.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Why am I getting echo from you?
I'm not sure.
Weird. All righty. I think it just went away. Welcome back, everybody, to Creative Briefs, our weekly news show. You know what I did? I forgot to do. I forgot to do a bunch of things like
Load up a deck.
The script. Yeah, I am getting reverb from you for some reason, Ken. Don't know where it's coming from.
Do you have two tabs open by chance?
Ooh, wait a minute. Is that possible? Let me just see something here. This has happened in the past.
Because there's no echo on my end.
Let me just check here. Because I know we auto advance, but the problem is I don't see it. Oh.
Yeah, we've lost Greg. But hello, everybody. Welcome to Creative Briefs.
Two tabs open, Ken.
Told you.
So that at least explains what was going on.
Every time you always have two tabs. It's like you really want, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we need to do like a warning, in Zealous so that we tell you that that you're opening another tab or something maybe. In any event, welcome back, everyone. It's been a while since. Well, actually, we did the news last week. It was the Ken news show. So let's see.
Yeah, you were off skiing and where is it?
I was skiing while you were doing the news. So let's just.
Well, that would have been good because that would have been. I mean, that would have been interesting. You know how people like. There's always that reel, the thing on TikTok where there's this guy that's at football games or whatever, and he has this giant green screen and a laptop, and he's in a Zoom meeting. That's right. I kind of figured that would be like you. But
interesting. Okay, cool. Well, Ken, let's get into it because I know we actually but to be fair, this week Ken has prepared all of the news stories. I think I added one or two. So I'm going to literally be backseat driving here and just providing commentary, on the fly commentary because I don't even think I've read most of the articles that Ken has this week.
All you need to know, Greg, it's like have some common insight about YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter and Facebook. That's pretty much it. That's what it boils down to, right?
Let me do some bookkeeping for the show. In case you don't know, this is Creative Briefs. It's a weekly show that we do on Fridays where we cover all of the latest creator economy news. Our show tends to be focused, I guess, on the industry side, by the way. So we tend to look at it from like how it impacts builders, as well as I think like the implications for creators as businesses themselves. We do stream 3 times a week. On Tuesdays, we do office hours, which is turned into sort of like more of our discussion or open-ended sort of topics. On Wednesdays, we do our interview series. Next Wednesday, however, will be our holiday party. So feel free to come on by. We'll bring everybody up on stage, or as many as we humanly can fit into this pixel grid here. And we will be chatting and getting updates from a lot of our previous guests to the extent that they can make it. And then, of course, there's today's show. So we do encourage you to give us a follow everywhere. We are at Creative Economy on almost all the platforms. We also do syndicate live on Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, if they would just approve us. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also Twitter Spaces pretty religiously. So hi, everyone in the Twitter space as well. Keeping an eye on that. So Ken, let's get into the news and jump at it.
Sure. Let me see. There we go. All right. So I think this is kind of relevant, obviously, for us, Greg. I think for us, what we've encountered when we post, those that weren't able to join us earlier, or those that have been following the show know that we have this really awesome 80s style intro. That's my, Greg likes to, broadcast that so I can kind of really get my morning dance and cardio going. So thank you for that weekly amount of exercise, Greg. Appreciate that. But there's a report that came out
on some things if the extent of your exercise is totally
baby steps, man. We all can't do shows like you. Baby steps, okay? So the headline of this is YouTube reveals millions of incorrect copyright claims in 6 months. this report came out this week, and it shows that this is in a first of a kind publishing. YouTube says, look, less than 1% of more than 729 million total copyright claims that it received in the first half of 2021 were incorrectly were incorrect, basically. So but those that were disputed, 90 or 60% of the time, the ruling went in the favor of the creators. So there are a bunch of,
but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to you have to click through these forms. You have to submit some other stuff to this other place. It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, but it's I wonder is how many people are actually submitting these that are really vindictive or doing it for malicious purposes, are actually filing these copyright claims, right? Like, for example, our intro music has been dinged with copyright claims, though it's supposed to be royalty free or free, YouTube or social media friendly. So I wonder how many people are doing this either accidentally or for malicious purposes, or it could be just a bug in the system that's thinking, hey, this is something, and therefore we're automatically going to ding it. So, I mean, 1% is not something to balk at. I mean, 1% out of 729 million
of a fairly large number, right?
Yeah, so. I mean, it's 1% boils down to 2.2 million, right? I mean, but when you think about it, it's how many people may imagine when if your video goes viral, blows up, and it gets thousands of views, and all of a sudden you get this ding, it's then it's oh, I gotta spend time to go through this and protest this and all this other stuff.
Baby Shark.
Exactly, right? I mean, don't play Baby Shark, otherwise we're gonna get booted, and that would be bad, right? But I think that's
experience. Ken, in the name of research, right?
We should
play some Baby Shark just to see what the experience is like.
Greg, you could also shoot yourself in the foot to see what a gunshot feels like too, but I don't recommend it.
I would do it to you, actually.
Wow, that's really wow. This is recorded, so I could use that in a court of law. That's just rude. Wait, were you saying shoot me in the foot or play Baby Shark to me? I don't know which is this, which would we saying here?
Let's determine what I was talking about later.
Don't do it. Look,
right.
But yeah. So this is something. I mean, I think this is for some people it could be a low percentage. Some people it's wow, that's pretty high. But the reality
it matters, I think, to the folks who actually do rely on monetization, right? So, for example, our channel, we don't monetize, or we're too small to monetize currently, right? But so I do think there's a little bit of that, right? Because if you're really trying to make money with the video, or you needed the money from all the videos that you're producing, this is kind of a huge pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you had the time to go dispute the charges, but maybe they weren't the fact. I disputed one of ours, for example. I never even heard back. I never got an email. Nothing confirmed it one way or the other. If it was cleared or not. So we'll see.
All right. Next up is Pinterest. So, Greg, what's going on what is Vochi?
So I had never heard of this app before personally, but the reason I thought that this was just interesting was that, and in the notes I put in the post that will go out later, I historically, I think about Pinterest as a curation place, right? Not as a creation place, right? And so it is interesting to me just that Pinterest is continuing to sort of step forward into the creator space right now. And by the way, I would say the users, a lot of the user base of Pinterest, I can't really peg it at a percentage per se. They are creators also, right? So there are creators who making content in other places and then using Pinterest as a way to curate some of those links. Pinterest grew in popularity, I think, over time as they added the commerce links and some of these other kinds of links in there that facilitated sort of other, a new revenue stream for creators. And so I think much like you see Amazon sort of moving to launch live and then bring more creators into the fold as actual first person entities in their platform. It's good to see that Pinterest is trying these things. Vochi, from what I understand though, was just an app that helped you make clips or video clips. It wasn't one that I've used previously. But I think it's the position of buying or getting into using these tools as a means of helping people create more on their platform is the probably more interesting part to me ultimately.
Yeah, and I think this is I don't know how significant this would be. Is this an actual acquisition, or are they just bringing the team on board, like an acqui-hire? But I think as Pinterest is starting to move more into that live shopping type of thing, like this could possibly be a tool that could help facilitate those type of things. They're according to this quote from Pinterest, they're saying having more inspiring content can provide pinners with more ways to watch, make, and shop creator ideas. So, I think as they kind of move towards this, live shopping or their shop pin or their idea pins or whatever they're calling it, and they want to move more into that creator space, I think this could help facilitate it. I don't know if necessarily this is a major shift for Pinterest, right? It's like, I think it's just more like, oh, okay, we just kind of did this.
I think it's just
small
edging
acquisition.
in more and more into the arena.
Yeah.
Why they needed this tool, there's certainly a question to be asked, right? Like, like you can, if you have Pinterest app on your phone, for example, you can natively share, it'll be interesting to see if they make these sort of capabilities native, like inside the Pinterest app itself, or any of these things. But, either way, I think it's a good step. It's a step in the right direction, more diversity in terms of the offerings. And so creators have more choices. And that's always a good thing.
Because it says here at the very end, Pinterest says the Voci app will continue to be available as a standalone app, quote, for now, end quote, as it works to bring the Voci team into the fold. So this kind of suggests to me that it's more like an acqui-hire as opposed to a straight acquisition. Yeah. It's not like Facebook, Facebook, Instagram. It's more like Facebook. Hey, we just want Kevin Systrom and the team, to help build this stuff out. Though it's not to say that Voci's technology could not also be a part of Pinterest to a larger extent. I think it probably could be in some variation. So, but I think we need to let's see if we can grab someone from Pinterest to come and talk to us about this stuff. So that would be very interesting to hear more. Part of our show, they in a role in terms of creator stuff, and this week they've announced a bunch of new updates, whether it's for Facebook Live, whether it's for just Facebook itself, or and the like. The first part here is Facebook's has announced or is starting to test this professional mode, right? And this is for your creator profiles. In essence, this is what you can do. You get all the features, bells and whistles of having a page without having a page, right? So how if you are right now, profiles are just very much private or whatever. They're like just for individuals. If you want something completely as a public feed, as a public figure, then you go and create a page, right? But that can kind of seem a little impersonal. Plus, it's like, why do you want to have multiple things? So those that want to kind of that are seeing their presence kind of blow up, like they can go and enroll for this professional mode. Now, the caveat is your profile will now be the equivalent of a public figure. Well, yeah. So you get to get all the analytics, you get all the bells and whistles, like I said. But with that, it's like as you're exposing yourself more to the internet, and that can be that can be kind of hard for some people to really grasp. It's like, this is great, but are you sure? You have to be fully aware of what you're getting into, as opposed like you can't really. It's really difficult to parse what you want to share with truly your friends versus what you share with the public, right? You can't have those multiple, that divider. So it's important to pay attention to that. In addition, Facebook or Meta, the Facebook parent company, they announced that
technically you can still say Facebook for Facebook things, right?
Yeah, it's like a Facebook, Meta, whatever. I don't know. Anyways, Facebook's Meta, Instagram, whatever. I don't know. Some that company, right? That company also announced a Reels Play bonus program. So here's where they get more money. And Greg, you and I have had this conversation in terms of how do you build a community, or how do you reach creators? As a creator focused startup, it's like money is kind of the big thing here to kind of entice people. Here's an opportunity where Facebook is like opening up its wallet more and saying, hey, we're going to pay some creators up to $35,000 per month based on views of your reels just to create it, right? This is an invite only program, so but they didn't really specify like what the criteria is to enroll. I think it's going to be based on those that they see. Oh, you create this reel, there's a lot of traction, it's going viral. We like what you're doing, or you're kind of doing something that nobody else is doing. Okay, let's entice you to create more, and we're going to throw more money at you. So there's that option. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the general gist of like this professional mode and this reels bounty bonus program, if you call it. I don't know, Greg, would you do
the word? I guess the word professional versus like creator mode like seems like right, like I guess I was curious about the framing of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as a professional Facebooker, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I saw some feedback or pushback. Some folks were like, so is Facebook becoming LinkedIn now, right? Like, I don't know. I think that the framing is a little odd. I think calling it pro is different than calling it professional, right? Like, and so, Instagram has many of these distinctions. You can have a business account, you can have a creator account. I'm just kind of curious, like, to the extent that they're normalizing, why aren't they normalizing, I guess, that the behavior where they do have an existing large pool of creators? Why aren't they bringing that forward, right? Like,
and it very well could be. It could be because that they see a difference, because it's like, oh, not everyone on Facebook is a creator. Like, there might be some doctors, there might be some, I don't know, some non-creators. So maybe that could be, they'd be like, maybe they want to make that term a little bit more universal.
The center of gravity likely on Facebook, I know, because of the Pages ecosystem, there's a ton of sort of like businesses, and there are like, obviously, Facebook is every kind of person, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I imagine there might have been some more parity because they've already like rolled out at scale, sort of like profile differentiation right on the Instagram side.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I think, you get all the bells and whistles of this. Like, they're saying, where was it? Oh, okay. So with this professional mode, I mean, there's really nothing substantial about this, right? I mean, you get access to post, audience, and profile insights. Okay, great. You can see the total number of shares, reactions, and comments to your post that your posts have, and be able to share and be able to view your follower growth over time. So you kind of get a little bit more traction. I don't necessarily think like this is a super huge update per se. It's like, this is a nice little bonus for creators or those that enable professional mode. I think the big caveat, the big thing that to factor in is that you're kind of changing how you want to be viewed on Facebook, and therefore you got to be aware of the privacy implications, right? It's like saying, hey, Barack Obama has a profile. He can limit that, but he makes it professional. He may no longer have that capability to, say, hey, I'm just, leave me alone. I just want to be in my private little space. Like that no longer may no longer be the case. Yes, I'm sure Facebook will allow you to have a lot of the similar privacy settings, so you can target. You can block people. You can tell people, limit who has access to your posts and blah blah blah. But it's like it's just something you need to be concerned about when you enable this. Obviously, the second biggest thing is the Instagram Reels, bounty or promo here. So. But kind of jumping over to more meta news, Facebook news, there's some updates to Facebook Live, and that's actually, I'm surprised that was still around.
Well, Facebook Live is actually the third most popular streaming destination, technically. I think it's for Facebook gaming predominantly, but there is a good amount of Facebook Live activity. So I think, again, this is in that arena of like, there are features that exist in the Instagram side, or there are features that exist in the Facebook side. there isn't really parity. And I guess maybe like for differentiation, that makes sense. But realistically, it seems like as you learn what works in one place, you would hopefully apply those learnings in other places. But just to read from sort of the quote, the first paragraph here, it says that Meta, today is introducing a number of Facebook Live updates that will allow creators to engage with fans during their live broadcast, including new features like polls, support for 4-person co-broadcasting via the Live With feature, new commenting features, a new post format, and support for adding links to broadcast and live in stories, which allows creators to share their live streams directly to Facebook stories to improve their chance of discovery. So it just seems like kind of like, table stakes kind of upgrades, right? There's a bunch of stuff that needed to be here. There's a bunch of stuff that they sort of have in other places, or certainly that the competition has already, right? I believe you could do 4 people on TikTok. I think Instagram stories, you certainly can bring at least a few people in as well. And other products that Facebook has that aren't live allow for multiple people, like rooms and stuff like that too, right? So not really, I don't really find, it's good that it's happening. Is it interesting? No. Like it should have happened before, right? So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these updates are like, as we round up the updates to Facebook, not a lot of these are, game changing or major shifts in Facebook's creator strategy. I mean, these are nice updates to have. It's like, oh, that's cool. It's not as saying like, hey, Facebook is now allowing you to, I don't know, go create augmented reality interactions with your creator, with your fans. I don't like something of that caliber. Sure, would be like, wow, that's worthy of further investigation. This is like, oh, nice little feature. They kind of got around to it and they rolled this out. So kudos to Facebook for this. But this is a I guess a slight iteration in the journey forward for Facebook. But and then kind of like,
I will say that the thing that I think is important here, though, Ken, is just that the evolution towards the creator, recognizing the creator, is happening, right? Like, and so, like, I guess the fortification of these tools is a good sign, right? Like, it's a good sign for the creator economy at large. It's a good sign for creators, and I also think it provides some surety for people who are building things for the ecosystem as well.
Right. And this kind of came out today, and it's not in our show notes yet, but I kind of wanted to highlight this. So this headline is Facebook finally has live chat support for people who are locked out of their accounts. And
explain.
So those that have problems accessing their accounts usually have nowhere to turn to, right? So they wind up going to, to Twitter, right? Or they ping.
Is it for chatting with your own friends, or is it for chatting with
somebody at Facebook? So so what it is it's not a full rollout, right? This is a small test, quote unquote small test of live chat support for English speaking creators in the US who don't have a relationship manager. Right. So those that are listening, if you are not a creator or some, like, if you're not a creator determined by Facebook specifically, and you have problems accessing your account, you can go and if you are a creator, you might have an opportunity to eventually to reach a live human being at Facebook and saying, hi, I have problems accessing my account. Those that are not creators, that may be watching us and like, oh, I don't do any of this stuff. And yet you find yourself, hey, I've been locked out or whatever, or I can't gain access to my account for some reason. You're out of luck, unfortunately. This is not going to be, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a big thing for like a global thing for all 3 billion plus Facebook users. I don't think that can scale for Facebook, nor do I think they want to do this. But this is it's like, as we talked about earlier, how YouTube has like this massive group of a team that helps out manage some creators. This is kind of that similar modality, but obviously not to that great of scale. So look, if your mid-tier internet stars can get quick responses if the questions about payout or, for example, how to use new features for Instagram Reels. So it's not just, hey, I got locked out, but it's like creator support. That's basically what it boils down to.
Okay.
I think this is this is nice that there's somebody that's a human being, as opposed to, because I think people people may have gotten tired of pinging Zuckerberg on Facebook directly, or the executives at Facebook directly, hoping that they'll see, hey, I got problems with blah 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 or whatever. Like, I think this is kind of like the thing that kind of you're starting to see this type of hand holding from Facebook, as related to what you're talking about, Greg, earlier with like Meta and with what Meta did with Facebook Live, and now with professional mode and so on and so forth. There's that recognition. There's more recognition in terms of the creators on the platform. So, but it's a matter of time. So here we have a screenshot of what this test looks like on iOS. You can chat from an agent. That's obviously between certain hours of the day. Obviously, it's done through Messenger, of course. So it's not like you can go onto Facebook.com and say, "Hey, let me go to help," and then Bob's your uncle. So, be interesting to see how far the rabbit hole this goes. But shall we move on to TikTok? There we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So TikTok news. TikTok, last year at 2021, VidCon was supposed to happen in Pasadena or Los Angeles? I think
It's in Pasadena. Yeah,
Pasadena,
right next to Disney.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that didn't happen due to the pandemic. But VidCon said, "Hey, we're going to be back in 2022." They actually just held a conference in Abu Dhabi that went out well. That was in person. This in 2022, it'll happen. Supposedly it'll happen again, and TikTok has been named the title sponsor. TikTok was previously supposed to be the title sponsor in 2021, but
I wonder if they got a credit.
They very well could. I mean, it's like this is, but I think this might have. I mean, it could have been like a 5-year deal or something like that, right? As opposed to just like whatever. But look, I think there's nothing has changed in TikTok in the past year to say, hey, TikTok's got to pull back from this sponsorship. Like, TikTok is if anything, TikTok's gotten better, and TikTok's gotten a lot more competition. So this is an opportunity for TikTok to really stand out more than it is, or as it is, because everyone's copying TikTok, right? So TikTok will be not only going to be the title sponsor at VidCon, they will be presenting the keynote. They will have talent and executives at VidCon's 3 tracks, and they'll be sponsoring the Expo Hall stages. Hopefully we can get Jim Latter back on the show sometime in 2022 to talk to us about this.
I forgot to follow up with Jim, because I think he wanted to try to make it to the at least to the holiday party. He was traveling or doing the actual VidCons were going on.
Yeah, he's such a busy person, and we're fortunate. We would be fortunate if he could join us on the show. So Jim, if you're listening, come on board. It'd be great. But yeah, so that's kind of the general gist. TikTok's still going to be around. They're a title sponsor for perhaps the biggest creator-focused conference in the world, or at least in the industry. So very interested to see how they can, like, what kind of impact they can make there and kind of woo people over. Especially, I bet, like, at VidCon there will be TikTok. I'm sorry, not only TikTok that will be there, but Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Snapchat, and maybe and including Twitch, will all be there trying to throw money or throw incentives or hype themselves up to say, hey, come to us, as opposed to TikTok. It kind of reminds me of, like, Greg, when you were in I don't know if this happened to you when you were in like elementary school or something. Like, you would go to like I think it was like sports day or whatever. Like, you go to or a club day where you go to like a gymnasium or auditorium, and then you would run to these different booths and pick which club you want to join. I know it was part of like a Simpsons episode early on, where you're like running to say, oh, I want to be part of, the dodgeball club, or I want to be part of the science club or whatever. Like that's kind of what this could potentially feel like, where all these creators kind of go to VidCon and they're like, oh, I want to be on Snap, or I want to be in Team TikTok, or I want to be on Team YouTube, or I want to be on Team Twitch or whatever. It's like, but nobody wants to be on Team Clubhouse, perhaps. But sorry. But anyways, all right. Oh, that's interesting. TikTok is now allowing. Wait, TikTok has a new app. Is that what it is? That am I reading that right, Greg?
I don't know. I think they had mentioned an app, I think last time, right? Is this related to the Shopify integration? I'm guessing.
Well, this one, I mean, the headline here is TikTok's newest app lets sellers manage their online stores.
Store in the app, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know, maybe they have a creator app or something.
Huh.
TikTok Seller.
Yes.
What's the app called?
Oh, but it's only available.
Oh, maybe this
Indonesia.
is for the brand selling, actually, not necessarily for the creator side.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so those that are listening or those that are watching, let's recap this real quick. So they have a new app for the seller community who want to shop, who are doing shopping on TikTok. Apparently, it's only available in Indonesia, which is, I mean, that's a pretty interesting place to really have that. I mean, but I guess it's because of the mobile usage, mobile penetration there. But it's allowing the sellers to run all aspects of their TikTok shop from their mobile device, from registering as a seller to managing inventory and orders to analyzing online businesses and other things. Sellers can register their campaigns, manage promotions, do customer service, as well as get seller education materials in this app as well. I don't know. It's like, I think though this if TikTok wants to kind of become this one-stop shop for everything, I mean, it's almost like this is kind of like the WeChat for social, right? I think TikTok has a good chance to do this.
I think WeChat is the WeChat for social.
well, that's true, yeah. Or maybe this wants to become like another version of WeChat, right? Or it's like but you're right, Greg, because it's like WeChat is kind of like this big monstrosity of a thing where you can kind of do everything, right? It's basically its own metaverse, if you will, right? Or its own internet. TikTok kind of also wants to be that as well, with the network effect.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook can do the same thing, but it doesn't necessarily have the reach as like a TikTok, so to speak. I mean, granted, there's like 3 billion users on Facebook, so potentially there's that reach. Although it's like Facebook is basically the internet incarnate. It's like an inception of it. But this shopping aspect here, it's like TikTok, is doing live shopping. TikTok is doing, wants brands to be on there, wants merchants to be on there to kind of sell their stuff and whatnot. So this, it's interesting that there's a different app for this. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's fascinating that you kind of have to extract it and make its own app. But obviously this is more the B2B to C type of thing. So, I'd be very curious to see how this goes. And will they have any additional can this integrate with other things? You mentioned integrations with Shopify. I don't necessarily see that here. I mean, Greg, unless you saw that earlier, but of course,
but I'm guessing, that they have a marketplace to sort of facilitate sort of connecting like brands and creators. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing this is just sort of trying to slipstream some of that process. Maybe it's a test though, right? Because they haven't actually launched it kind of.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Well, I mean, it's specifically starting in, here you go. In smartphone heavy markets like Indonesia. So this is only not to say Indonesia is a small country, it's huge, right? And so there's being able to be a part of, that's where you're going to have a lot of opportunity to really have it saturated, have a saturated audience there. So very curious to see how the shopping play works out more. And hopefully in the new year, we can have somebody on the show who talks about, the shopping part on these type of platforms. So, all right. Twitter wants to be TikTok, sort of, right? So Twitter is testing. Everyone's testing these things. Twitter's testing a TikTok copyright feature, or I'm sorry, copycat feature. That's what the headline says. Copyright. I don't know. Words elude me at 8:30 in the morning.
It could. Well, YouTube is having that copyright feature. So.
Yeah, that's very true, right? Who knows? So here's when I first read this, I was like, wait, you're gonna be able to create viral videos on Twitter now? Is it like we're gonna do this thing? Is like, but I read it. It's not the case, where basically Twitter is kind of transforming its explore page into a video feature, into a TikTok like video feed. So on Android and iOS, in countries that who use Twitter in English, Twitter's testing what they call a quote revamped, more personalized explore page to make it easier for you to unwind, find new interests, and see what's happening. Okay, that's a lot of sure. But what's fascinating is that so you're going to be able to allow people to swipe up, right, and to see other content. But it's like, how much of it is, the DNA of Twitter has always been textual. Has always been text, right? I mean, it started 140 characters, now 280 characters. But then they supported photos, and now they have videos. And like, I wonder is like how much of the content is going to be videos that they can put into this to allow to kind of really help that. Am I just going to be swiping up like an Instagram story, or I'm sorry, Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever, or Facebook stories, that you're going to start to scroll up and see media, and then you're going to scroll up and see just tweets? Like, I don't know how that would necessarily.
I mean, why not? Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I get it if it's like media, if it's just like photos and videos, but then you scroll up and then I see your tweet, and then I scroll up more.
A tweet can be visualized, though. I mean, Instagram Stories has lots of text only. I mean, it's kind of like fleets, right? Like, I mean, you could convert tweets into fleets before, and I don't know. This doesn't bother me. I mean, it's just a different consumption model, and I think if you're more used to swiping up and down to go through stuff, then it seems reasonable.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. Like, I think it would be probably in my opinion, a better experience if it's just media as opposed to just text, right? But I mean, we'll see what they have. It's like their only screenshot that they're showing is like, before it's just like it's like a news feed of sorts, right? And then like what you would get on like on Yahoo News or Apple News or whatever. Then the after is, it looks like it's what you would see on Instagram, what you'd see on TikTok and Snap and so on and so forth. But that after image is an image. It's like it is the tweet, but it's like, what is that embedded image, right? So like I could take a screenshot of our conversation now, put that in a tweet, and then it would surface up there, but it would just show the screenshot, and then the tweet might be the caption. So maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what they're doing. But look, I'll have to, give that a shot. It's available, or they're testing it in Android and iOS, which I'm on Android. So yes, certain countries who use Twitter in English, hopefully that's the US, we'll give that a shot and see what it comes out to. But who knows? All right. Rounding up to our last two articles. So Greg, we had Paul Backhouse from Google, like 3-4 weeks ago. Wow, that was a long time ago, like a few weeks ago. And he kind of really educated us, or at least educated me, in terms of the power of, the web outside of the traditional social networks. And so this caught my eye from the information. Addition, which is a VC firm, leads funding for website builder Universe. And of course, this kind of goes on to talk about Twitter's management shuffle, but that's for a different time. So I want to talk about Universe. So Universe is almost the equivalent of like a Squarespace, in my opinion, a Squarespace, Weebly, and a Wix model. but it's specifically for creators and small businesses. So it's been around for 4 years old. It just raised $30 million in a Series B, led by Addition, and also includes the firm formerly known as Google Ventures, now known as GV. And it has 500,000 creators and small business owners who have used its sites within the last month. So it's the premise behind it is like it's allowing you to do, to easily build a site using a drag and drop design model. So you can build different blocks for like photos, fonts, shapes, video clips on your website. So it's very much like Squarespace and Wix. And they're working on targeting social media creators who want to create their own landing pages. So they're going after folks like Koji, folks like Linktree, that are doing.
So these guys have been around for a while. They were a YC company, actually, if I remember right.
Universe?
Yeah, I did. I thought they were. Yeah, I think it's I think it's pretty interesting, by the way. Like, I think like where they did well or where they sort of succeeded was in kind of they were part of this generation of like a pure phone-based sort of like approach to doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now how far does that get you? I think it's the design constraint is interesting, to say the least, right? However, it's interesting to see that they're continuing to grow this fast, right? Because it used to be a really small shop originally, but I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think when you look at the Wix or the Weebly generation, right, or the era, mm-hmm. those have been like, all right, I don't have time to build a site. I just want to get up and running. Great for small businesses and those that want to do e-commerce. Maybe not specifically for what creators want to do. Like I think it's more like it's a different mindset between those two eras, if you will. So perhaps Universe see something that creators want, but Weebly, Wix, and Squarespace aren't able to give. It's certainly.
So these are interesting overlapping constructs, right? Like, so is there like a Universe? I saw a friend the other day post, can you start a whole company just on a phone, right? Mm-hmm. Like, can you launch a startup on a phone? There are people who that's their central modality, like the platform they work on the most is like the mobile. Then there's a separate mindset, which is like as a creator, which overlaps potentially with that. Obviously creators usually are producing with like hardcore equipment and sort of all these other things. However, probably spend a significant amount of their time also on the phone, and they like the ease of use and sort of being able to enable this stuff. So I did see this article. I think it's an interesting thing. Like I said, the design constraint to me is the more interesting part of this, because trying to translate these complex things that do happen in larger formats, right, into sort of this universe, I think is somewhat interesting for sure.
Yeah. And fun as you're talking, it's like, here's a nice little kind of playback onto the creator space. Universe is hoping to maybe use some of that, their new funding, to find out how they could support NFTs. So could we, that could be a nice little, you don't have that capability on the DIY services. Like nothing, I haven't heard Squarespace or Wix say anything like that. And Weebly's owned by Square, which is now known as Block. So, and that's all about blockchain and commerce. So, but no peeps from them about supporting NFTs or anything of the sort. You can buy Bitcoin off of Square, but nothing in terms of that. So maybe Universe is ahead of the game as it relates to a DIY approach for creators and NFTs, perhaps.
Yeah.
But all right, our last topic here, Greg. You've been saying for a while, you're like, you're not sure how Discord is making money. Like, it's like, how are they? You've said this at least a couple times on this show.
I mean, I still don't, this it seems like extremely obvious to me, like what they're about to do. Like, so yes.
Well, why don't you walk us through this? Because I think you have a stronger take than I. I can certainly do this. I could do this as a slow news. But I mean, in short, Discord's new premium membership lets creators monetize servers. Why don't you take this one?
For some reason, Discord has historically they haven't had direct monetization. Like it was like Nitro and Server Boost and these other kind of random things, maybe some advertising. I don't know. I haven't seen ads in any of the Discords I've been in. So I'm not like an expert in Discord. Like I haven't been using it for ages. I've only been using it since I've been buying and trading NFTs basically. But the thing that they basically are starting to do now is finally add a subscription layer, like where you can basically fully gate control or provide better unlocks internally to your sort of like Discord ecosystem. Discord is organized around largely around roles, right? So you can like have paid roles now, I believe is sort of the concept. The reason that this is interesting to me though, is that they had previously offloaded all of this behavior to other people, right? Like, so when you wanted to manage roles, like, I've been researching more of the Patreon side of things. For example, 50% of the people on Patreon, creators on Patreon, like are using Patreon, like that I found so far, to manage access to Discord, right? And so like all of the dollars that are going into Patreon, let's say, let's call it 30% of the dollars going into Patreon, like could be actively displaced, right? If the main thing you were doing is really controlling roles on Discord, right? So that could be pretty significant from Discord's point of view in terms of like creating like actual revenue now, right? And Discord's Patreon is one of the relationships. They have a few others here, but I never really understood why they didn't do this to begin with, right? Like, or ages ago. Obviously, it's led to like tremendous growth. There's like 150, is it 150,000 or 150 million servers? I don't remember. But
well, they have
150 million active users.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, and a lot of these communities, which are basically, where creators are bringing their fans together, or where, NFT projects, DAOs, et cetera, are all bringing their fans together. Yeah. Why don't you want to charge access or gate, this in one way or another? And by the way, cash-based gating is a great thing for, creator economy, right? Like, we previously chatted about like them potentially doing NFT gating, and, they took a beating over that, right? Arnold is saying, by the way, here, finalize a way for Discord to effectively monetize. Yeah, I assume they take a cut. Yeah, it's a split, by the way, Arnold, it's a 10% cut, which I think is a very fair cut.
10% for Discord.
10% for Discord, which is, by the way, not necessarily like that far off from like Patreon. Patreon, I think, ranges usually like 7 to 12%. In sort of in what the percentage that they take. And I think this puts them in a really great place from a monetization point of view, because there's so many of these communities who are like, yeah, the main thing I just want to do is have a Discord. And if I could just monetize that, then that's worth it.
It's funny, Greg, as there's a tweet that you shared with me where it basically said, having a Discord, what was it? Having Discord
is not a community. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is kind of trying to prove the opposite, right? This is a step to kind of prove that opposite, right? I mean,
well, no, I don't think it proves the opposite per se. I think all it says is that you have a club, right?
Right.
So, you could pay a lot of money to go to the racket club, like in any city, right? Doesn't mean that you know anybody there. Doesn't mean that you're friends with anybody there, but there's a premium to get in, right? And so, it was actually an interesting tweet I replied to this morning from Ian Bosworth. He said, he made this comment that, where's my reply? I'll find it real quick. But he sort of made this comment that celebrities have audiences and creators have communities. And so, sort of my reply to that was that, where is it? Someone liked it. Okay. So I replied to that. So just to be clear, he said, it's Ian Borthwick. Sorry. He said, creator and celebrity are not the same. He's like, celebrity drives audience and creator and community interchange audience. The former creates an audience, the latter a community. And what I said basically just in reply was just that I think creators have a higher likelihood of building communities, but communities are neither free nor automatic, right? Like, you still have to do a tremendous amount of work to actually create and foster a community. You can't just put a bunch of people together in a room, and that's what you get, right? And be clear that like minimally you have to sort of have relationships, right? Like inside of the place for there to be the beginnings of a community. And we talked about this in the past, right? Like all of the constructs that are required to sort of get to community. I see Chris, you were in the room. He would be able to speak tremendously to this. But I think, so that's why I think like there is a little bit of this sort of bastardization of the term community that's just sort of being rolled onto everything. And so every pile of people is being called a community. That is not the case, right? Communities have relationships, they work on things together, they have a shared interest, right? Like, all these things are sort of are in play at the same time. And so unless you're actually getting all those parts operating, right? Like you aren't necessarily building a community. You may have like, there's a funnel here, right? You're turning like, unknown followers into known audience members, right? Or something like that. That's great. But a community yet it still does not make, right? And so I do think this is still not quite, this doesn't solve the community problem for Discord, but they do have other trappings inside of the Discord ecosystem to sort of facilitate more of it, right? Like they do have like some internal metrics that let you understand like activity and engagement amongst individuals. They do have like these different set like roles and sort of like spreading out responsibility across sort of, the participants. So I think that those are good things. But it takes a lot of work and effort and energy to sort of like actually foster a community. And most people are not actually doing that. Like they just stand it up and they say, great, you guys all talk to each other. That way I don't have to talk to you or spend all that time talking to you. Right. And that's sort of, I think where we're seeing things right now.
Yeah. But I think you're probably right. I think that maybe like at the very beginning, on a Discord, I'm not saying that Discord is wrong is saying there's no community that you can have on Discord. I'm saying that right now there might be they're maybe laying the groundwork for that true definition of what a community is on Discord with these type of features, right? Yes, you can stand up a server. It's like a field of dreams. You build it, they will come, right? It's like, oh, join my Discord server and learn about my NFTs, right? Great, we have billions of people joining, great. But then it's like, what happened then? If you see like there's some promise there, you can take your most ardent supporters and kind of move them into this separate bucket, if you will, and maybe that's where this premium membership comes in, because there's that fiduciary, there's that financial aspect at play here, right? What is that smirk? Why is that? Why you're giving me a smirk here, Greg? I kind of feel like
I'm not smirking.
You're smirking. You're kind of like, I kind of feel like you're like, what are you talking about? Like,
no, I guess my point is like, let's be clear. There are communities on Discord.
Yes.
But not every server is a community, right?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right. It's not. It's like, oh, I create a Facebook page, Facebook group, and then boom, I have a community. Like that's not the case, right? Like I think it just you having a presence does not a community make. I agree with that. It's like I think there has to be a lot more work from the admins into this type of like. Would you consider the means of creation Discord a community? I kind of would think it would be, as opposed to.
I think there are. I would say yes, because there are. Is a number of people, and this would be great to have someone to come on and maybe we'll get Maria, my wife, who does community strategy, to come and talk about this, or maybe we'll get a few of our friends, because we have a lot of good friends that are in this space. But I would say yes, there's a commonality in interest, right? There are shared pursuits happening in different circles there. There are strong relationships that have been formed, right? Amongst different individuals and groups, right? And it is not purely a place for shilling and for sort of just like link sharing, right? Like there's actual discussions. Now, the application of that energy and that effort and those relationships to things, I think is the last and final ultimate signal of like, the power of a community. I don't think that group works like everyone's rowing in the same direction for any particular thing. Like we have a common mission, but not a shared one, right? Like, I guess is maybe the way to think about it. But I think it's close to one, right? Like folks get up, they meet together in person, right? Like, and they organize events around with each other. So I think it's pretty close to a community for sure, right? But I would argue that like a billion of the NFT projects I'm in like are not communities at all. Like, like it's literally just people who are like pumping things up to like, you know, try to push, you know, the price up and demand up, right? For NFTs.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think
not that they can't be. It's just that that's where they are now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more work to do, and like these tools kind of help facilitate those that type of community. But you're right. I think there's a lot more. You're right, as you said. There's a lot more work that needs to be done in order for a community to really blossom, and that could be, you know, that involves the work of the admin and that creator, and also those members of that group. So, but cool.
And, oh, by the way, and also just importantly to note, you can have a community where you're not a central or important part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so you could be a creator and not present, and people are like, yeah, we're all here because we knew that person, but we all have our own thing going on, right? Like, so absolutely, those kinds of things are possible as well. By the way, I will, as we wrap up real quick, just in case you didn't grab your AMA today, today's we do have our drop. It ends in a little bit, but if you head over bit.ly/AMA drop 13, I did drop a link into the Twitter space as well if you want to grab some. And the only other thing, Ken, is that we do have our holiday party. So next week, if you would like to come join us on stage, join in the convo. I can't find the slide deck to advance the slide. There we go. We are having our holiday party next Wednesday. I think I'm going to try to keep it open probably for the majority of the day, potentially. I'll figure out like what time and whatnot. But, you know, we've had so many great guests come by. We've had so many people drop in from the audience. It'll be like a co-working / holiday party. It'll be a chance just for everyone to come in and say hi and say hello. So if you're free Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm curious, Greg, like how is that light on when it's not really plugged in?
It's a kinetic energy that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, gotcha.
By the way, you can't, maybe there's those Christmas lights have cords on both ends, so it's possible. By the way, we are working, just the last thing okay. Arnold says that attendance requires wearing your ugly Christmas sweater. I could do that.
I actually don't have an ugly Christmas sweater, nor will I go and buy one.
Just Arnold, wear one of your normal sweaters, Ken.
Wow. Hey, Arnold, can you send me a hang glide sweater? I'm pretty sure that's just the same thing, right?
You don't mess with the audience, man. The audience is always right.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, Arnold.
This is my rally Christmas sweater. Does that count?
Wow. Are you saying... Oh, see, what are you talking? Don't insult the audience, and then you're insulting other companies.
That's not an insult. I'm wearing it. It's very warm. But I do think, it should be fun, and we'll hang out all day. And I'll be doing some AMA drops throughout the day as well, as presents for all of our friends. I think we may still do the news also next week because we still have time. But next week's probably the last show next Friday will probably be the last show for the year.
Next Wednesday we have our holiday party. Yeah, well, I think we could do another Friday one. We could probably do another. We'll probably can recap the Friday one. Well, actually, no, because the next Friday is Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no fun, and nobody wants to hear us talk on Christmas Eve.
Maybe I will do office hours, but I think for formal programming, next week we'll have our last two shows for the most part.
Yeah. And then maybe in the week after Christmas, maybe I'll do a Twitter space where we talk about what to look forward to in 2022, perhaps. So if you want to tune in, let me know.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, everyone. Well, it's been fun being back for a few days, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Go grab some AMA, and we will see you all on Wednesday, or probably Tuesday or Wednesday next week. We'll send some updates out soon.
All righty. See you guys.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.